Good afternoon, dear friends. On behalf of the Red Pond Educational and Psychological Research Center and Yellow Pond Counseling Center, and also along with Dr. Suresh Kumar Murugesan, I welcome you all to the 9th day of our counseling course on basic skills of counseling. And hope you all had a great session before. And now it is Mrs. Ananya Lakshmi with us, and she's going to talk about Introduction to Indian Psychology. So I think most of us will agree that it is one rich area which is given less importance and undue attention. So it's high time that all of us must be aware of what it is in crisp. And now I welcome Ananya to open the session. Thank you.
Ma'am is muted.
Yeah, we don't hear you.
Yes, now, ma'am, is it?
Now, yes.
Yeah. So, a very good evening to everybody. So, I'm very happy to talk about Indian psychology, which I really love. Though I'm not an expert or I'm not even 0.5% in that, because we are all students of psychology. So, I have a question to ask. So, have we learned Indian psychology by any chance in any place? Most of us would have completed our MSc in psychology, or at least BSc in psychology, or somewhere you would have learned psychology. So, have you learned Indian psychology anywhere? Have you heard of that topic?
No, ma'am.
No? A clear no?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't cross any topics about that. Only while studying the positive psychology, just Shubha ma'am told something that Indian psychology only என்னது அதுதான் மாறி நமக்கு இந்த மாதிரி இதுவா வந்திருக்கு அப்படின்னு சொன்னாங்க.
Very true. So, Hari sir, Payal ma'am, Hemarupan sir, have you heard about Indian psychology anywhere? Like, you would have heard about Indian psychology, but have you studied it as a subject? Because we are all students of psychology. Yes. So, I'm asking that question. So, Vishal Mukund ma'am said that no. So, Hemarupan sir, Bala sir also is telling no. So, yeah, I also haven't studied Indian psychology as a subject in my uh, MSc or in my UG BSc psychology, which I feel is not fair, or I feel it's very not okay, because we are all Indians and we have a very strong base, as Savishal Mugant ma'am rightly told. Subha ma'am keeps talking about how our our Indian psychology base is being taken, and it's been given a model. They have come up with a model, and theories are formulated, and all those things are happening, and they are coming back to us from the Western culture. So all these things are happening, and we are still, if we don't read Indian psychology, even at this point of time, we will never do it. Therefore, let's, with our limited knowledge of what is Indian psychology and why is it important, and how are we going to plant the seed of interest to make people learn Indian psychology is very important, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So, if we all are able to do a course on Indian psychology, I would love to, ask you all also to join. So, yeah. So, as it's clearly known that we haven't learned about Indian psychology, no matter what, even though we are in India, let's just focus on what is Indian psychology and how it's been very important, even for the Western culture. Okay, so that is the main goal, aim of this session today. So we are not going into detail of anything, but overall, or what is in it, that's the thing of today's session. Okay, so that's a disclaimer that I'm placing here. So I'll share my screen, and yeah, before I share the screen, I have one other question. What do you think is Indian psychology? What do you think will come under Indian psychology? Anybody can answer.
And spirituality,
Yes.
yoga,
Yes, Komal ma'am. Yeah, yoga will come under Indian psychology, spirituality, somewhere, yes. Mostly, yes.
Philosophy also, ma'am. Our philosophy.
All the philosophy, yes. Anything else? Any other words? Just random words that you can think of when I say Indian psychology.
Ma'am, Anita here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
You
Anita.
could talk about the cultural beliefs. To talk about cultural beliefs, values.
Yes,
So,
cultural beliefs, values. Yes.
Okay.
Ma'am, Ayurveda also, okay? Vat, Pitta, and
Yes.
Kapha.
Yes. Yes, Payal. Correct. Any other words that pops in your head when I say Indian psychology?
So many
Ma'am,
books we have, ma'am. Ramayana and Mahabharata, epics and Vedas, and so many books we have. In that also, we have learned many psychologics terms, no, ma'am?
Yes, correct, Vishal Mukund, ma'am. We have learned about Bhagavad Gita, which is a base for Indian psychology, I would say, because what is all about the Bhagavad Gita? Anybody?
Yes, ma'am, I can try.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
please.
basically, as a counselor, what we are doing is we are, you can say with our words, we are consoling, plus we are motivating them to find the solution of the problem by themselves, right? In
Yes,
Bhagavad
exactly.
Krishan ji, in the whole process of before Mahabharata and everything, when Arjun was totally down and he
Mm.
was not able to decide what to do, Krishnji was there. He told him uh, how to attach, how to detach, what is consciousness, what is alertness, how you have to behave. You have to believe on your karma instead of whatever the result is. If you are right, you think you are doing on the right sides, and then do your work. Likewise, Krishnji motivate everything to him
Mm.
and related to life and all. And this is what I want to say. So basically, as a counselor, he convinced him. And end of the session means after that, Arjun was ready to perfectly play his part.
Yes. So very, very beautifully said, Payal ma'am. That is all about. Which therapy do you think he has used right there? Like, if we want to label it,
Existential therapy, ma'am.
what
Existential
is it?
therapy. Existential therapy.
Anything else that you can think of?
Positive psychology.
Yeah, that is the whole thing. But yeah, I'm asking any therapy that you can think of.
Ma'am,
We use a lot
CBT
of.
is there because he rectify his negative sentences and he himself answered irrational thoughts and all.
Yes, very true. Cognitive behavior therapy mostly. Okay, so we have a lot of other things also in Bhagavad Gita and other all the other Vedas, Upanishads, and other things. So, to be frank, it's very overwhelming to even think of how these things uh, have been done. I mean, lot of research have been done on these things, and the people have come up with therapies, and have put it in a model and has been following it in a very large scale in the Western culture, and how we just to follow it with the model, with the structure only. So they have said after this process comes in. After this process comes in. Okay. So that base, where has it come from? Now it is probably from here. It's mostly from here, and they also accept. In foreign countries, they teach Indian psychology, and in India, we don't teach Indian psychology in the universities, and that is sad. So yeah, from Bhagavad Gita, we learn a lot of how anxiety is being involved, how depression is playing a major role, and how anxiety and depression is playing a very important role in the performance of Arjuna. So this is what the thing is, and we have a lot of other details also when we are talking about it in detail. We are not going to do today, but I'm telling you this is the base. Okay, so we know it. The problem is, as you all rightly told, there is no distinguish between the religious concept, the the philosophy and psychology. when it comes to Indian psychology, we actually it's a combination of all these three things. Nobody has put uh, a distinction. I mean, distinction between these three things. That is a problem, and that's why we are not able to get the comprehend or understand how and you know how it is put forward. And the books of the Indian psychology also, though they try to write it in a very understandable way, it goes into religion a lot, maybe because of that Hinduism is a base, okay, that has been agreed. Mostly we or it's not structured, that's what I would tell. Okay, yoga is being, and anything and everything that is being a part of Indian psychology is considered as you know or viewed as Hinduism, which is not true. So yoga is a simple term and it's being used widely and it's a thing. But there is a lot of possibility that people are viewing yoga as a Hindu based thing. So which is not true again. Okay, I'm telling it's not about Hinduism, but it's yoga, which is a separate thing. Okay, so all that we have to understand is Indian psychology is very important and we have our own basis, but it is a combination of philosophy, religion, and also psychology. So people are trying to do a lot of research right now and they are trying to distinguish and how the therapies are to be formulated and other things are happening right now. It's been a decade right now after we have started to give some importance to this Indian psychology concept. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, there is a directly right. So that's my slide.
We could see your
Yeah.
slide.
Thank you. So Indian psychology. Have you heard of this person's name? Any chance? If I say Freud, everybody will know who Freud is. If I say Carl Jung, everybody knows who it is. If I say Erik Erikson, they will know. All of us will know who it is. But have you heard of this person's name called Professor Narendranath Sengupta? Sengupta somewhere you have heard. Don't see the slide and tell me he's the popular person here. But just have we heard of him ever before? You can use the chat box also. I'm just trying to make a point here that those people who have been a very popular psychologists and other things in India is not being given credits, and we are not even knowing their name. So that is a sad thing. But yeah, I'm very happy that Payal ma'am have heard. Uh, my interest in Indian psychology came when I wrote my NET exam. Okay, when I tried to write my NET exam, that's when I got a little knowledge about Indian psychology, because the first part will talk about the first unit in the NET examination will have about Eastern culture, Eastern view, Eastern perspective of psychology. Under that you have yoga, under that you have Buddhism. Okay, so the first chapter, not even the whole chapter, only the first line of the entire chapter will talk about Indian perspective or Eastern perspective, the whole syllabus. So only from there I got some interest on what is Indian psychology and how it is being taught. To be frank, that is the truth. Therefore, let's give importance. Let's just spread the word that we have to understand and learn about Indian psychology. Okay. So all the people whoever is here, please make a note. Okay. So Professor Narendranath Sengupta, he has completed his degree from the Harvard University, and he was the first person who brought in psychology. There was Western thing only, but he was the first person who brought in the term psychology and the educational thing in India. So he was the first person who established the Department of Psychology at the University of Calcutta, the first university department in India. So remember the name Narendra Nath Sengupta. Mostly in your examination law, it will come as N.N. Sengupta. So remember his name. He has written books on psychology, Indian psychology also. Um, so he in some places will be referred as father of Indian psychology, which is not been widely used, but somewhere you would have learned that. Okay, so N.N. Sengupta is the person. So remember his name. So okay. Okay. So before independence, we were all ruled by the British, and the Western culture has obviously been included here. Before that, we had yoga. We were following Vedas, Upanishads, and we were for every period of time we had something. Okay, and those are the things that add value to Indian culture. And from that, the Western people came in, and they decided that in the educational system we have to make some change. And everybody in India, whoever is studying, will have, the education system is not so good. And therefore, let's just implement some Western culture. And mostly it's Oxford University's syllabus and other things that has come in. And people's perception of things have changed. And all are sitting under the banyan tree and learning things have gone. So from there, that only then the Western culture's influence came in. So that's the thing that we all know, and that's how psychology also came in. He also did his psychology there and has come back, but he also made sure that we let us, you know, combine and compare both Indian psychology and the Western view and put something together. So he's one of the person who contributed a lot. And this I put in because let's just know about in Madras also. So Dr. G.D. Bose was the first person who was heading the Department of Psychology when the Department of Psychology actually emerged. Look at the year 1943. Okay, so this is not about Indian psychology. I'm talking about psychology only, but just remember the word name, okay, of this person. So only here the word psychology has popped away, leaving back the word philosophy. Okay, they have a different department for psychology specifically, because until then, as I told you, philosophy, psychology has no distinction, and therefore they were all put together. Even now, there is a lot of confusion between religion, psychology, philosophy, everything when it comes to Indian psychology. But at least they have come up with the department, and Dr. G.D. Bose was one of the person who was heading the department. Okay, so this is one other person who has contributed a lot to Indian psychology. This person is called Durganand Sinha. Okay, in the 1990s, he has written some book on Indian psychology, and according to Sinha, Indian psychology is a distinctive psychological tradition rooted in Indian ethos and thought, including the variety of psychological practices that exist in the country. Okay, according to him, it's the Indian ethos and Indian thoughts, okay, which is also including a lot of psychological practices that exist in the country. We had certain practices that were there, and this is all based on Indian viewpoint, and it's all based on Indian tradition and everything. And Indian psychology is not only for you, the Indian people and Indians, but also for the universal thing, but having the viewpoints of the Eastern culture. Okay, so that is there according to that is Indian psychology. And Indian models of psychology would have vast implications. He believed and he trusted that it has a very vast implication on health psychology, education, organizational management, and human and social development. So, Indian psychology, this is what we have been learning in our courses in BSc psychology or PG in your PG degree in psychology. We talk about health psychology, we talk about education, we talk about OB, okay, we talk about social development, social psychology, and everything. But we don't talk about the Indian perspective. All that we have is the Western perspective. That is what you have to remember. Indian psychology, what is the outcome indicator? These are the implications. We can use Indian psychology in all of these things. So it has Indian psychology has a very strong root or base from religious and philosophical literature. That is what we'll have to remember. So from the time of British colonial era until last decade, the psychology has been dominated by the Western theories and concepts. Okay, so after independence, Indian psychologists slowly started to recognize that they are led by the European thoughts and theories. Anything and everything is European thoughts. Okay, anything and everything that we follow is all the European theories. So they realized that, and that is good. Realization is good. Okay, because only after that insight that they have got, they believe that indigenous psychology, Indian psychology is important, and we have to look for it and search for it and have to come up with it. Okay, so that is there. Okay, this is Jadunath Sinha. He wrote a book on emotions and the will, which contributed to the Indian psychology approach. This is all happening after 40 years of independence. Okay, 1981. Jadunath Sinha has written a book on Indian psychology, which is there. Okay, you can also buy it. There are 3 volumes. Okay, I wish I buy and read it. So I'm sure the reviews are very good. Therefore, you can also try. And if you are interested, I will send a PDF for you before you think of buying a book, because the terminologies is all obviously Sanskrit and a little, yeah, that's right. Therefore, it's difficult to understand certain things, especially for the generation who have never read anything related to even the Mahabharata or the Ramayana. It will be very, very difficult. But I got one PDF which is a little simple with understanding. So I'll forward it to you. You can all read that. So these are 3 books that actually have the Indian perspective of things. Okay, like cognition. Okay, here it talks about how the problem of perception and cognition is being discussed on that first volume. In the viewpoint of Eastern culture. Okay, the Indian thing, emotion and will. So that is one book which is talking about emotions, aesthetic sentiments, love, sex, and psychology of religion. Okay, all these things are the things that will be coming under the emotion and will book. And everything that will come under epistemology of perception is all okay. The overall where did it start and things like that. So therefore, these are the 3 books, and I put it here as a screenshot because I want you to understand what is also there inside that book. So if you are interested, you can buy the book, but I will send a PDF first for you to understand better. Then you can, if you are having more interest and you want to know more about Indian psychology, you can go ahead and buy the books and start reading. Okay. So this Jadunath Sinha, he has written this book. He has done a wonderful job. The research all is good. So you can Google and try and get it. So Indian psychology, I have put one example only here, which is the Bhagavad Gita slide. Yeah. So this is the exact word from Bhagavad Gita. So this is from Arjuna to Krishna. Seeing these people of mine facing each other to fight, my limbs and mouth is parching, my body is trembling, and hair standing on his ends. He is talking about how his bodily changes how his body is changing because of the bad thing that he's seeing, because of the people who is fighting. Okay, we may even call it as sadness, depression, or okay. So my bow is slipping from my grip, my skin is burning all over, I'm not able to stand steady, my mind is whirling, and I also see bad omens. So this might indicate the anxiety concept. Okay, how he's not able to have control over his own body and how things are changing in his mind. So my delusion have got back memory of my traditions and values. All by your grace, I'm settled and firm. All my doubts have vanished, and I'm ready to carry out your instructions. So this third statement is after what Krishna has spoken. Okay, before Krishna spoke, it's depression and anxiety, and after Krishna spoke and has made him realize, okay, all his all that Krishna did was, as Payal ma'am rightly told, he actually started with a smile and he ended up presenting many sided views about the conflict Arjuna is facing and the conflict itself. Okay. So all that Krishna did was to tell him or present him all the viewpoints or all the things that is happening to the conflicted Arjuna. Okay, so he's made to realize what's happening, and the concept of conflict was also explained. Okay, so all these things were done, and towards the end of the conversation, he asked him to make his own decision by taking into account the complete picture of the situation. Okay, yes. Somebody having a doubt? No? Okay. So, towards the end of the conversation, Krishna is asking Arjuna to make his own decision by taking into account the complete picture of the situation. So, this is what we also do, right? Towards the end, it's there. We ask the client to make their own decision because we are just presenting and dealing with the problem. Okay, we are just presenting the problem, and they have to take the decision. All that they have to do is look at the complete picture of the situation. Okay, so this is what happening, and after Krishna has spoken that, Arjuna says that his delusions have gone. Okay, his delusions that this might happen, that will happen, or his thought process that is very negative, and his body trembling and other things, all those things have gone, and he has got back his memory of his own traditions and values. Okay, when anxiety and depression is in place, people will not get this tradition and values. Maybe they will just forget, and he has got back his tradition and values, and he's telling that it is because of the counselor who is a Krishna, and he says that he is settled and firm. He is settled and firm, and all his doubts have vanished. All his doubts have vanished, and he's ready to carry out your instructions. I mean, his instructions. So, towards the end of the counseling session, this is what the counselee is getting. Okay, so that's one example that we can talk about when it comes to Indian psychology. This is all involved. We are telling that Bhagavad Gita is playing a role. Vedas that we are following are playing a role. Upanishads, those roles. Yoga is playing a role. We are talking about all those concepts. So this is one of the example. Now I'm going to show a slide. Okay, yes, Payal ma'am, you have rightly said that those are the symptoms of uh, anxiety. Okay, that's what he has expressed through his words. So that's been out there through the counseling process, which is from our side. Okay. Just a minute. Can you see the screen, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So that was my slide, and this is not my slide. This is from the YouTube. Okay, introduction in Indian psychology. So this was by R. Manoj, who is a clinical psychologist, psychotherapist, and counselor. I give all the credits to this person who have created this PPT. Okay, I tell this because I was looking for information, and I found this PPT very very useful and simple. Okay, which is explaining about Indian psychology. So I'm giving credits to him. All that I'm doing is explaining his PPT. Okay, so because it's the valuable resource, I just want to take it like that. Okay, that's the reason. So just telling you, I'm going to explain this PPT by him. Okay, so the fundamentals of Indian psychology. What is it? Indian psychology is psychological system derived from indigenous thoughts, all the Indian people's thoughts. Okay, so that is the psychological system that is coming out. Okay, and that is what is called Indian psychology. Okay, it is also based on ideas and practices that developed are thousands of years within the Indian cultural subcontinent. Okay, so PPT has not changed, is it? Okay, give me a minute. Just a minute. Yeah, can you see it now?
It's loading.
Okay. has it?
No, ma'am, in loading process only, ma'am.
Okay, I will just continue because we have only very limited time. So it will get loaded, or I can off my. Is my voice breaking?
No, ma'am, your voice is clear, ma'am.
Yeah, just turn off my video. Thank you, ma'am. Hello? Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, then I will just proceed because I'm not able to see or I'm not sure what's happening. So, yeah, Indian psychology is basically uh, thoughts from Indian people, and Indian psychology is basically about ideas and practices that has been developed from over thousands of years, because it is not just yoga, because yoga was there for a period of time. Okay, at the point of time it developed. Okay, before that it is Vedas was the first thing. Okay, and Upanishads and other things. So those are the things that has been there for like period of time, and Indian psychology have gotten information from all these very valuable resources of India. Okay, Buddhism also is playing a role, and also we talk about Bhagavad Gita and other things. So, ellame combine panni, there is Indian psychology. So, the source of Indian psychology is basically from ancient scriptures. All the books that has been we have been used. I mean, having from our scriptures and things from all over the world. I mean, all over the country. So, all those things are being collected, and it's been uh, changed a little bit, and it's been used as a therapy, or it's been used as a base for Indian psychology. So Vedas, Upanishads, Vedanta, Buddhist scripts.
Ma'am, we can't hear you, ma'am.
I think the resource person has left and might be she'll join soon.
Ma'am, get disconnected.
அர்ச்சனா ரிசோர்ஸ் பர்சன் வந்து கட் ஆயிட்டாங்க. திரும்ப ரீஜாயின் பண்ணுவாங்க. வெயிட் பண்ணுடா. கிளாஸ் எதுவுமே ஸ்டார்ட் ஆகல. இப்ப எல்லாம் காமா தான் இருக்கு. உங்க சைடு தப்பு இல்ல. இங்க தான் தப்பு இருக்கு.
Thank you, Vishal Mukund. I have sent a message to the resource person. Let's wait to know what she's replying.
Ma'am, you're able to hear me?
We
Yes,
can
Ananya,
hear you,
ma'am.
Ananya. We can hear you.
Okay. So was I audible till the last few? I'll share my screen. Let me know if I was audible. Okay. So I was talking about how Indian psychology is first, focusing on who the person is and what is there in the mind, and how it is not being differentiated or distinguished between religion, spirituality, philosophy, and psychology. So that is what I was talking about. And also, Indian psychology is primarily dealing with the inner state of a person. It's more about the inner state, how the person feels, and how it is internally rather than the external thing. So. Uh, so they also believe that all the psychological problems that an individual face is only by the individual itself. It's because of the individual, okay, or it's within the person. Okay, so psychological problems and other things are all from within. Okay, and it can be dealt from the inside rather than from the outside. So that's what they believe in, and so one have to explore the world within to find solution to the problem. The one problem I learned about Indian psychology a little, and one thing that they talk about is it is an integrated thing. So it will have to include yoga therapist, or it should include psychotherapist as we are, and also it should maybe if a person is coming with some other issue, Ayurvedic or something like that, all of them have to work together in order to deal with a particular problem. So it's all dealing internally rather than externally. That is one thing that you have to understand. And complete training should be given for an individual to practice Indian psychology. So, and they have to, a person who is, practicing Indian psychology, Indian therapist, Indian psychologist, um, who is practicing Indian psychology, have to understand who he or she is. That kind of understanding is the base for this person to use this therapy for somebody else. So that will take a longer period of time and a lot of other practices and other things. So understanding oneself or the world within themselves is very important when compared to the external world. Okay, so even to practice Indian psychology, they have to understand themselves better. Okay, one has to relate to oneself in an experiential manner and also explore oneself through introspection and self verification. They have to question them repeatedly on what they are doing, how they are, and also verify them keep monitoring what is happening to their body and what is happening to their internal state and everything. So that kind of internal connection should be there. So that is important. Uh, so they also create a harmony between spirit, mind, and body. Again, all these things are different words and have a different meaning, and they they believe in spirit, they believe in mind, and they believe in body. So that's how it's different from the Western culture, where they are talking about behavior and how human behavior and mind alone, and not believing in other things. So that is one of the things, because it is not explainable. There are things that can be explainable in Indian psychology, and there are things that cannot be explained using words when it comes to Indian psychology. These are two schools of psychology, they say. Okay, that we will see. So Indian psychology can be deemed as universal. It is not that only Indian population can be benefited by Indian psychology. It is not that. Okay, Indian psychology thoughts have even worked out many different ways of realizing through one's sense of being and experience, which is transcendent beyond all nature. So it's about realizing through one's sense of being, okay, and experiencing it beyond all nature. It's about experiential thing, and it's about the perception of being, okay, or the realization of one's sense of being, okay, that is there. So it's about internal completely. So that's why it is difficult to explain Indian psychology, and but when we practice it with all the actual detailed things, it is the most beautiful, and it will give out good results. It is not like Western culture, which is having a structured way. So that is a problem, but they have put it in that way, taking only the core from here. So that thing you understand. Indian psychology is also based on realistic practical methods. Methods of observation is there. Experimentation is also there to study the inner functioning of a person. The intervention methods promoted by Indian psychology is universally applicable. So all that we can do is Google interventional methods used by Indian psychologists or Indian psychology intervention methods. So they have certain methods which is again to be explained. So it's not that we don't have any structure. The structures have been formed nowadays. In recent years, they are working on how it should be implemented on others, and that concept is being given. So all that you have to do is Google. Okay, spiritual orientation is also very important. So spiritual does not mean it is associated with the world. That is totally different. Nor it have any relationship with religion or rigid, inflexible systems of practice. It is not something that is totally different. It is a different spirituality in the concept. If people hear, they think that it is something that is not, um, closely associated with the being. It is different, they think. But in Indian psychology, they believe that it is not a religious concept or something that is very, very inflexible. They say that spiritual orientation is something that is flexible, that can be explained, that can be a part of the being. Okay, so that is what they explain about spiritual orientation. It suggests developing the faith in the existence of higher power. It's not a god. Okay, they say that if you believe in some power, then it works. Okay, it's about that belief rather than towards a religion. It is not religious, but it is spirituality, which is believing in some power. Okay, by relating to these higher powers, a person would be able to seek the higher order truth of life. Okay, that is the belief, behind the uh, you know faith towards a higher power. Okay, so if you are relating to or believing in a higher power, that is going to take you to a level that is to understand the truth of life. Okay, a little bit. So that is what they talk about spirituality. Here is where the paranormal powers, human existence, creativity, and intuitive thinking, all these concepts come under. Okay, so we don't explain this in a structured way, but it's again um, something beyond. Okay, so that is there. What is practicable is it is not just concerned about testing the existing theories and developing generalized proposition. It is not that. It is more importantly focusing on the practices that can be used for transformation. So what is the practice that I can do? What is the thing that I can practice that can change something? It is not about I test a theory. It is not about generalizing it. That's why we haven't come up with something. Okay, the goal of Indian psychology is to help the person shift from a conditional state, which is very habitual. Okay, I do this. Okay, and I keep doing it. The goal of Indian psychology is to shift a person from this conditional state of habitual thinking or mechanical thinking to an unconditional state of freedom and liberation of human conditions and guide him in the path of attaining perfection. Okay, it's about not doing the same thing repeatedly again and again, but to shift you from that conditional state to an unconditional state uh, of freedom and liberation of human condition, and also to guide you to path of attaining perfection. Okay, the word perfection again is a lot complicated, but this is an explanation, so do not take it in a very strict way. So it is about the routine break பண்ணிட்டு how are you going to be free. Okay, so they say it's not about Indian psychology. There are no research basis. Indian psychology, there is no empirical approach. There are people might think, which they say is not right. So again, we use this certain techniques that we have been using in Western culture, which is perception or observation. Okay, they term it as pratyaksha. Okay, so or inductive and deductive inferential reasoning. Okay, this is also one of the things which we use um, in order to come up with the inner um, to understand the inner being. Okay, or a person within the perspective. So one is observation, second is inductive and deductive inferential reasoning, third is literature by scholars or testimony by competent authority. So something related to Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, Vedas, and other things. At the end, we are taking the literature. Okay, so that is one of the solid base for our theory, and traditional knowledge is there, analogy or comparison is there, implication is there, implications of events is there. So research oriented empirical approach. Now we can say these are the things that we use to find out something. Okay, so this is one thing. Intuition is one thing that is non-empirical approach. But in Indian psychology, as we are focusing more on the inner self, most of the things are intuitive, and that is one of the beliefs. In both, in Indian psychology, there are certain things that are empirical, and there are certain things that are not empirical. There are certain things that can be tested, like we saw in the previous slide. Observation or some kind of intervention or something like that can be tested. Okay, here when it comes to non-empirical approaches, we have intuition, which is a strong evidence. Strong thing that Indian psychologists believe in. So this is where the problem lies, because we are not able to explain how it comes out, or will it be the same for the other people who is following a particular thing. So that is where we are a little not able to differentiate. Okay, so intuition is one thing. Intuition based on awareness propagated by learned people. So the asans and other people who have been teaching us from thousands of years, their intuitive knowledge and awareness is being believed and is a base for Indian psychology. So unobservable perception. Okay, I not able to put that in my paper. So that is there, but that kind of perception is also being a research oriented thing, but totally non-empirical. Yogic perception is also there. So these are the things that we will have to remember. And give me a minute. So this is one thing. We have something called Indian Schools of Psychology, which will have the Astika and the Nastika. Okay, Astika is completely inner. All the now we saw, right, the how to say, intuitions and other things. Nastika is something that is external. So these are the two words you will remember: Astika and Nastika. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. If anybody is there who will do that, then I'll be grateful. So Astika school vandittu, it's having Vedas, Upanishads, Sankhya, Vedanta, Nyaya, Yoga. Okay, these are the things that will come under Astika school. Something that is internal. Okay, and when it comes to internal, it's mostly non-empirical. And something that is that comes under Nastika is all observable things, um, and it's external mostly. And they say that under that school we have Buddhism. Okay, that is where the Buddhism comes under. Okay, so this is what I can tell about Indian psychology as of now. Basically, I have covered what are the things that they believe in, and what is their perception on human beings. Okay, so we have a lot more to discuss about Indian psychology. I'm going to share a particular video to you today. So have a go through it. Okay, because we don't have enough time, I want you to understand this base. And then I thought I can do this, but I don't have enough time. So I'm going to share a video to you. It's a lecture video by the same person, which I thought will be very useful, because that gives a major understanding of what Indian psychology is. That is also fundamental, but still, okay, you will understand what it is. And then I will ask questions from that particular video. Okay, so because it is an internship thing, we have to learn something, right? So that process I will do, but yeah. I'll give the sources, resources, everything I'll give you. All that you have to do is spend some 20 minutes of time and see the video, and then if you would like to write a note on it, kindly do that, because that will give you a greater understanding of what Indian psychology is. Okay, so they talk about the schools of Indian psychology. As I told you now, there is two schools of psychology, under which there are several things which will be explained clearly in that video. So I'm sharing that with you. Chandra ma'am, can you pass this video on to the participants once I share it with you? I'm not sure why I'm not
Yeah, I
able
can
to share
surely
it.
do it. You want me to do it in the group, right, Ananya?
Oh, yeah, ma'am. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a good lecture. So
Take your time. We'll always pass it on to the participants. Yeah.
yes, ma'am. So that would be great. So after you watch the video, you'll ask doubts to me. Okay? Because this is a very vague introduction of Indian psychology, which I understand. But this is important for you to have a clear understanding of what are the schools of psychology and what are they trying to tell. Okay? So that is the only motive of today's session. So I'm sharing the video with you guys. You can go through that and get back to me. So do not feel that this is a little vague and other things. You will understand. We all will understand it, but it will take some time. Okay? I'm not able to show what is happening to my Ma'am, is anybody asking any question or something?
There is no question as of now, Ananya.
Okay.
And
So
as
yeah,
you have said, the topic is quite vague
yeah, I know.
in the first place.
So
Only on
yes,
further reading, you might.
yes. So Archana, Hari, Vishal Mukund ma'am, Ganesh, Payal, Bala, Hemarupan, all of you will understand Indian psychology much, much better. Have whatever is being taught in today's class in your mind. Okay. Have that mood of reading about Indian psychology. So when I share the video with you, that's again a lecture by a psychologist, clinical psychologist. He will talk about schools of Indian psychology, and he will talk about Vedas, Upanishads, and all the other things from which your question also will come from. Okay, so spend 20 minutes of your time. Okay, 20-25 minutes of your time. See the video with this base, and you will understand better. After that, you can, if you still have any questions, it will be answered. Okay, so you can always message me, so I will reply. And I saw few of them have sent me the assignment, so very good. Quick, I'm getting all these things from the group, so I'm happy about it. So that's all for today's session, Chandra ma'am. We can end the session for today.
Thank you, Ananya, for putting your greater effort in bringing awareness about Indian psychology, I would say. So I think we all have to put some more efforts to understand better what it is and, how far it travels in all our lives. So thank you so much for all the participants for being present in the session. And on behalf of all the participants, I thank the resource person today. Good job, Ananya. Keep it up. And nice to listen to you as well. Thank you. And if participants, you have any comments or feedbacks to talk to the resource person, we can have a quick go. Anyone? Any questions? Any feedback? Any quick comment? Thank you, Ananya. Anita ma'am has thanked you. So we don't have any voices now. So as Ananya said, I'll pass on to the video in the group. Do see and ask your queries to the resource person anytime. She'll be happy to help you. Yeah. And that's for all today. See you all tomorrow, the last day of our counseling course. So stay happy. Until then, take care, stay safe. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.